We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. Yo, it's game day, stadium packed, feel that rush. From Boise to App State, man, we never hush. Rocking the colors, yeah, we bleed that pride. Cinderella stories, watch our dreams collide. Late nights, bright lights, we grind every play. Underrated talent, we gon' make them say, who's that team when we come to town? Representing for the schools that wear the crown. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. We the ones they the ones they can't skip. Fighting for respect, it's a tough road ahead. But we pack that heart and we never dread. Late hits and big plays, we bring in the heat. Watch out for the G5, we can't be beat. From the MAC to the Sun Belt, we don't back down. In this football jungle, we wear the crown. All the doubt is sleeping, but we making noise. In the G5 Hive, we the realest boys. When the clock's ticking down, we the ones to believe. One play, one chance, we gon' make them achieve. From the sidelines to the end zone, hear that roar. In the G5 Hive, we always wantin' more. We in the G5 Hive, buzzing loud, we thrive. Underdogs rising up, taking shots, we alive. From the mountains to the coast, we gon' bring that fire. In the heart of college football, we the ones they admire. So raise your flags high, let them wave in the air. In the G5 Hive, we the squad that's rare. With heart and grit, we rewriting the script. In the world of college football, we the ones they can't skip. Yeah.
Here's Navarro on the run. Navarro's going to keep it. Navarro for 6! Touchdown, Bobcat!
I feel I had a hard time staying in my own lane.
Oh my goodness! Red Murdoch! Pick 6!
Harvath inside the 30 to 20. Blake Harvath will score!
And Mendoza takes a big hit. He never saw it coming. Trey White got in there.
There's his man, Rucker. And nobody's going to catch him. Goodbye.
Intercepted.
Tyree Skipper. Touchdown.
Telly again, why not? A step forward and make it 2 for Telly.
Quarterback keeper. Showing off the speed. Steps on the gas. Untouched.
The G5 Hive. All G5, all the time.
Welcome to the G5 Hive, where we bring you the G5 college football coverage you love each and every week. It is the holiday season. I don't know if you can see this, especially for our audio. Definitely can't see it, but I got a little reindeer. Got a little reindeer outfit. We look at Justice repping. Was it UConn? You said
UConn Cornelius.
So if you're listening to us, come check us out on YouTube, X, wherever. I got my reindeer. We'll get to it a little bit later, but it's festive season right now. I'm Luke. I'm joined by my co-host, Justice. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like, subscribe button. And if you're watching us on X, give us a follow, a like, and a retweet. And if you're listening to us in podcast form, please rate and review. Whew. I'm going to tell you, this thing is hot. It's going to be hard to get through it. Tonight, we will bring you up to speed on the news around the G5 review, what went down in the 10 bowl games from last week. Plus, we dive into the G5's performances in the college football playoffs. We will then round out our show by diving into the 10 bowl game previews. That will get you up to speed through December 30th. But first, Justice, you went to the DNA Cure Bowl. You saw USF and ODU. What was that experience like? How much of the bowl stuff did you get to participate in, see? I've never been to a bowl game. What was that experience like for somebody who goes to a lot of college football games? How is this different?
I was actually trying to. So I'll get to that in a second. But the other day I was at the store doing some shopping, and the girl checking me out told me I looked like UConn Cornelius. But I actually had dressed up like UConn Cornelius twice. I was trying to find a picture real quick to show to our listeners. Maybe I can find it by the time we get done. But yeah, I've dressed up like UConn Cornelius twice. Once for a Halloween party and once for a Christmas party. Matter of fact, me and my wife dressed up like the Sally doll from the Island of Misfit Toys, and I was UConn. But anyway, back to football, the Cure Bowl. It was awesome, man. So I have media credentials for Old Dominion football. I don't ever sit in the press box. I always sit in my regular seats, and then obviously go to the post game press conference, etc. A little bit of background, I guess, before I get into the experience. But so ODU has their own group of guys that basically just covers all ODU athletics, called the Monarchists. We've had them on our show doing our preview the last 2 years. But anyway, I guess this past spring, I started doing some stuff for them, attending practices, doing interviews with the coaches and players after practice, etc. So anyway, so I've gotten to know those guys really well. They let me tag along with them on this trip. And if you're an Old Dominion football fan, go check those guys out, man, because they absolutely killed the content on Wednesday. I mean, me and another guy were in the press box. We had another guy on the sidelines. It was just getting videos and interviews. They got an interview with the athletic director, Wood Seelig, at halftime. Did an interview with Quinn Hennicle, the MVP of the Cure Bowl, after the game. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of like a little bit of backstory. But anyway, sitting in the press box was a first for me. It was fun. It was cool. It was also it's obviously a lot different, right? It's a press box, a live press box. You cannot actively root for one team or the other. So that part was a little difficult. Didn't break any rules, didn't get yelled at or anything, but that was just kind of hard, right? Because you found yourself and then you had to calm yourself down really quick.
You also met one of
I did. I got to meet
colleagues.
Yes. Yep. I got to meet Joey Johnston from South Florida. He covers the Bulls. I got to meet him. I didn't meet him in the press box. I met him in the media room after the game. I got to have a good conversation with him. So that was really cool. To get to meet someone that we've interviewed, on doing the South Florida preview for us, in real life. That was pretty awesome. The press box, just a cool experience. I have a newfound appreciation for the spotters, right? They were all right above us in the second row with their binoculars. And the cool thing about being in the press box is you never had to guess who is that's hurt or who caught that ball. They're constantly calling out the numbers. There's, I want to say 3 or 4 of them. And then I'm assuming there was someone else, doing all the typing for all the stats and stuff. So that was cool because you were getting very, very rapid information in terms of who made the tackle or who might be hurt, etc. It was really fun. It was all the people were really nice. Obviously, we were a little out of place in terms of we were wearing Old Dominion gear, right? Most people in the press box aren't actually wearing team gear. They're usually, you know, sports coats and polos, that sort of thing. But probably the funniest thing that happened, I can't repeat what was said because we'd get banned on YouTube. But so if you watch the game, the officiating was not good on both sides. It was pretty bad. But anyway, the interim head coach for South Florida at one point in the game, he called all the refs over, and the head ref, his mic was live, at least in the press room. Like, the people in the stadium didn't hear what happened, but we in the press room could hear what happened, at least for like the first minute or so, until they cut it off. But I mean, he was giving the refs the business. I mean, he must have said the F word 10, 15 times. And I'm sure it's no coincidence. I want to say 2 or 3 plays later, he got a 15-yard penalty called on him. And so, but yeah, it was funny. But when they finally cut that tirade off before, like, when they cut the ref's mic, it was kind of cool. Everyone in the press box kind of collectively said, "Aw." But yeah, it was a fun experience. I haven't been to that stadium in a really long time. So I started off my college career at University of Central Florida. Back when I went to UCF, they played in that stadium. They've had an on-campus stadium since, I think, 2007. So that stadium, you know, that doesn't. I mean, it gets routine use in the sense of, like, I think it hosts 3 bowl games a year. There's a UFL team. The Pro Bowl has been there, but it's not like it gets used every single week. But I mean, it was an awesome stadium. The tailgate was awesome. Like, they just know how to do all that stuff, right? They host so many bowl games, I guess. Like, it's just kind of routine for them. But yeah, it was a really, really cool, fun experience. Glad I got to do it, and look forward to doing it again. I'm glad that it was the Cure Bowl and not like the New Orleans Bowl, which is tomorrow night, because trying to travel back on Christmas Eve, my wife would have been hot, buddy.
I do have a question, because we didn't get a chance to talk about this. Like, you know, we interview so many people, and getting a chance to meet Joey, and just, we're probably like a blip on his radar in terms of how many people he meets and all this stuff. Did he remember you?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And
okay.
he got you and I confused a little bit, because he was asking me about Iowa, and I was like, "Well, that's okay. Luke. I'm not from Iowa. I'm the guy from Virginia." But yes, he did. So that was really, really cool. Yeah, and that was Jim Luke's last call of the game too. He's retiring at the end of the year, or after that game. So
yeah, they highlighted him during the TV area, and he did our preview our first year. So yes,
and I recorded the game. I haven't watched it yet. I'm on the broadcast, because
ESPN,
it would have been like when they were in the tailgate area, an ESPN guy came by and asked us to all just start chanting ODU, and he was recording it. I don't know if they ever made it to the final cut or not, but anyway, yeah, great experience, really, really fun. Orlando is a great place. The hotel we stayed at, the team hotel, was literally right across the street from SeaWorld. Yeah, I mean, everything was just awesome. If I had one complaint, the bars, they had like 2 or 3 bars in the hotel, but they all closed at 10 p.m. So that kind of stunk. They did convince one of them to stay open after the bowl game to, I think, 11. But yeah, it was a good time.
All right. Well, we're almost 15 minutes into it, so let's get into our G5 Hive Players of the Week. And I will get started with mine. My offensive player of the week for the first week of bowl games is Western Michigan running back Jalen Buckley. Jalen had 8 rushes for 174 yards and a touchdown to lead the Broncos to victory in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Congratulations, Jalen.
My defensive player of the week for the first week of bowl games is Western Michigan edge Rodney McGraw. Rodney had 5 tackles, 2 solo, 1 pass defense, 2.5 tackles for loss, 2 forced fumbles, and 2.5 sacks. to help lead the Broncos to victory in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Congratulations, Rodney. My offensive player of the week for the first week of the bowl games is Old Dominion quarterback Quinn Hennicle. Quinn threw for 127 yards while rushing for 107 yards and 2 touchdowns to lead the Monarchs to victory in the Cure Bowl. Congratulations, Quinn.
And my defensive player of the week for the first week of the bowl games is Arkansas State defensive tackle Cody Sigler. Cody had 6 tackles, 4 solo, 1 pass defense, 2.5 tackles for loss, 1.5 sack to lead that Red Wolves defense and the Red Wolves to victory in the Xbox Bowl. Congratulations, Cody. All right, Justice. We've got a lot of previews. Like I said, we took a little bit there at the beginning because I wanted to get ahead of that because I knew we would talk about ODU for a long time if we didn't talk about that at the beginning. And you know what? Again, for their viewers, I'm the reindeer. I got to guide us tonight. I got to guide us. Justice, let's buckle up. Let's deliver presents a couple days early, dive right into things. But before we get to the news or before we get to the games, what does the Swarm need to know? Our news and notes.
Again, it's just mostly coaching news. Like I said, we'll talk about transfer portal stuff sometime January, February. After that all kind of settles down, we'll go conference by conference. So coaching news, San Diego State has promoted Demetrius Sumler to their defensive coordinator. He was previously the cornerbacks coach. He was also named previously as the interim defensive coordinator for their upcoming bowl game. Florida International and head coach Willie Simmons have agreed to a new contract that gave him a raise as well as more money for the salary pool for his assistants. Old Dominion offensive coordinator Kevin Decker is off to Memphis to join Charles Huff. As a result, Old Dominion has promoted Cody Cook to offensive coordinator. Cody Cook was previously the wide receiver coach, and Alex Huddle to co-offensive coordinator. He is the also the O-line coach. Essentially, Cody Cook's the one going to be, from my understanding, Cody Cook will be the play caller for Old Dominion. Don't expect the offense to change very much based, for what you saw this past season. Texas State hires Will Wyndham as its defensive coordinator. He was previously the defensive coordinator at South Alabama. South Florida hires Tim Beck as their offensive coordinator. He was formerly the Coastal Carolina head coach. Before that, he was the offensive coordinator at NC State. So he joins Brian Hartline's staff there. And then Brian's brother, Mike Hartline, also joins as the quarterbacks coach. He was previously the quarterbacks coach for Kentucky. Missouri State has hired Casey Woods as their new head coach. He was formerly the SMU offensive coordinator. Coastal Carolina, where Ryan Beard, the Missouri State coach, went to, has hired Nick Petrino as their offensive coordinator, reuniting Petrino with Beard, Petrino served as the offensive coordinator at Missouri State under Coach Beard. Wyoming hires Christian Taylor as offensive coordinator. He was most recently an analyst for the Buffalo Bills. Prior to that, he was the offensive coordinator at FCS William & Mary from 2020 to 2023. I'll get to this at the end maybe. Middle Tennessee hires Anthony Selfo as their new offensive coordinator. He was previously offensive coordinator at Southern Louisiana, where his team averaged 380.6 yards per game and 31 points per game this past season. East Carolina hires Jordan Davis as offensive coordinator. He was previously the offensive coordinator at North Texas. However, he was not the play caller. Coach Eric Morris was the play caller there at North Texas. Colorado State retains Tyson Summers as their defensive coordinators. Tyson was also the interim head coach. He was in his first year as defensive coordinator this past year. And Jacksonville State has promoted Taylor Housewright to their offensive coordinator, as their offensive coordinator went to be a quarterback coach, I want to say, at Arkansas. And previously, Coach Housewright was the tight end coach for Jacksonville State. The last piece of news that skipped just a few seconds ago, Ohio has fired head coach Brian Smith. When they first announced, it was really weird. And you knew there was more to the story, and obviously there is more to the story, and the more to the story came out. But the initial announcement just said he drank liquor after games, he had a drink. and that he had stored the alcohol in his desk. And that's really all it said. And you're like, come on, like, I don't know. There's lots of people that do that, right? Like, I can't. That's not the reason he got fired. It later came out that he also had an inappropriate relationship with an undergrad student, and so Coach Smith was let go, and so Ohio is now looking for a new head coach for the second year in a row there for the Bobcats. So, yeah,
it sounds like they look to have one named fairly soon, if I saw the report correctly.
Yeah, I saw. I guess there's two names, and I forget the outside name. The internal name was the current interim guy, which is Hauser, I believe is his last name. I can't think of who the outside name was, but yeah, I would assume there should be should be an announcement sometime soon. One thing, not really G5 news directly, but I guess kind of indirectly, that I thought was kind of funny and interesting today was someone mentioning that Charles Huff, his name has been thrown around for the Michigan job. That would, I don't know whether to laugh or cry or what, but yeah, that's just like, I don't know.
I think
it doesn't shock me. I don't know. Like the other name I heard like way back when was Coach Eck, Jason Eck. And if I'm Michigan, I'd much rather have Jason Eck than Charles Huff personally. But the rumor I've heard is that they're probably going to stick with Biff for a year and then hire someone. Next hiring cycle. The interesting thing about Michigan Biff is Michigan Biff doesn't wear the cutoff. But
all right, let's get into our bowl game reviews, and let's start off with our Salute to Veterans Bowl. That was on Tuesday the 16th. It was between 8-5 Troy and 8-5 Jacksonville State. No Cam Cook for Jacksonville State, and Kilcrease and Crowder would rotate in the first half. As Crowder got hurt early in this one, Kilcrease would play the second half. Troy had two big plays. The first was a fumble recovery in the end zone on a flea flicker and other than that was a big kickoff return for 79 yards by DJ Epps. But Jacksonville State's defense would hold Troy to a field goal attempt, and Troy would miss it. For the game, Troy was 0 for 2 for touchdowns when they got to the red zone, would settle for 2 field goals. Also, Troy lived in 3rd and long just all night. The story of the game was that Jacksonville State defense, it was bend, don't break. The defense would have 2 interceptions, hold Troy's offense to 83 total yards in the second half, and Jacksonville State wins this one 17-13. The Staff DNA Cure Bowl, that was on Wednesday the 17th, what Justice was at. Old Dominion 9-3, South Florida 9-3. Keys to this game: ODU's defense was able to turn the ball over. They had 4 interceptions, 1 fumble. They were able to get sacks. They had 4 of them. The Old Dominion offense was able to convert on third downs. They were 9 of 20 versus 5 of 16 for South Florida. So that's a 45% to 31%. And then South Florida just lost their composure kind of as the second half went on. You heard in the beginning how Justice talked about the personal foul of the coach, but ODU found success on the ground, and no run was bigger than a 51-yard Quinn Hinnicle touchdown run with 2:24 left that put things away as ODU wins this one 24-10. ODU outgained USF on the ground 255-52. Roche had 19 attempts for 100 yards, while Quinn had 24 for 107 and 2 on the ground.
Yeah, it did kind of suck not seeing Byron Brown versus Colton Joseph. The other thing I didn't know until the game started was, I guess Keyshawn Singleton's hurt, so he didn't play in the game either. But other than that, like pretty much everyone else played. So, yeah, I mean, Byron Brown was there. I got a photo of him early on talking to Gaston Moore when they were warming up. And then Grammatica missed 2 field goals. Like, the ODU kicker, like, messed up 2 field goals too. Not a shocker there. But Grammatica, man, like, I wonder, like, if he got getting kicked out of the family after missing 2 field goals in the game. But, yeah.
All right. The 68 Ventures Bowl, that was also Wednesday the 17th. Louisiana 6-6, Delaware 6-6. The first half was all Louisiana, but Delaware was up 10-3 thanks to a missed field goal, an interception, and a muffed punt by Louisiana. The third quarter, I don't know if I can say this but I mean, it was Big Dick Nick. For Delaware, 9 of 11 for 114
Big Nick
yards.
energy.
Big Nick energy. Yeah. 9 of 11 for 114 yards and 1 touchdown in the third quarter. He really was rolling. And in the fourth quarter was all about the Louisiana comeback. The Raging Cajuns were down 14 to start the fourth. They would have a chance to tie or win with a 2-point conversion with 2 seconds left at the Delaware 7-yard line, but Lunch's pass would be incomplete, and Delaware wins this one 20-13. Lunch was hobbled in this one, and it got progressively worse as the game went on. And by the end of the game, he reminded me of Byron Leftwich at Marshall getting carried down the field because he was just so, like, he lost all of his mobility, which was a big part of this win. As like I said, Delaware wins this one 20-13. Moving over to the Xbox Bowl on Thursday the 18th, a 7-5 Missouri State versus 6-6 Arkansas State. This one was a blowout at the beginning, then got interesting there at the late in the game. Arkansas State dominated this game from the jump. The Red Wolves would score on 4 of their 5 possessions in the first half, and 3 of those 4 scores were touchdowns. Arkansas State was getting chunk play after chunk play, while Missouri State was getting 3 yards here, 2 yards here, and so on. It was 24-7 at the half, and after 3 quarters of play, where Missouri State put up a whopping -18 total yards in the third. It was the Red Wolves 31-7. I was about ready to turn it off, be done for the day. But I was like, you know what else? I mean, why not watch more football? So I stuck around. I watched the fourth quarter. Then the Red Wolves, they like turn into your friend that you play like PS5 or Xbox, whatever you happen to play, where they just like, they don't care about the score. They go for it all the time. They're going for it on fourth and, whatever. I mean, the Red Wolves weren't like that extent, but that's the feeling I got, that friend. Arkansas State passed it 10 of their next 18 plays. I mean, you want to run the ball and utilize this clock when you're up 31-7. They're just like, let's pass it. I mean, granted, they were passing it like it was an extension of the running game. They weren't deep passes anymore. They weren't getting those chunk plays. But of those 10 passes, there was 1 sack, no biggie, as it ran out the clock, and 4 incompletions. So that stops the clock. That gives Missouri State a chance to come back. Most teams, like I said, would have ran it, ate the clock, but, not Arkansas State. Because of that, things would get hairy with about 7 minutes to go in the game as the Bears would fight back and score 2 touchdowns, while the Red Wolves would miss a field goal. Ultimately, Missouri State would be unsuccessful in getting an onside kick. The Red Wolves would prevail 34-28. A couple takeaways I have from it. I got 4. So the Red Wolves defense played lights out. 8 sacks, 2 fumble recoveries. If we include special teams, they recovered a fumble late in this one to add on, or I guess to be the second fumble recovery. But this season they struggled kind of tackling, and they tackled pretty well in this game. And then the Red Wolves had 7 plays of 10-plus yards in the first half and only 4 in the second half. 2 of those 10-plus yard plays were touchdowns, one being a 71-yard bomb to Corey Rucker, and the other was a 25-yard run by Devin Spencer. Missouri State scored on a long plays too. All 4 of their touchdowns were 15 yards or longer, but 3 of those would come in the fourth quarter in their comeback. Now, I don't know who Butch Jones is talking to in the headset, but I feel bad for whoever that person is. He never seems happy. He was yelling all the time. I don't know if this makes sense, but if you say Butch Jones, who does he look like? Like, I would picture what Butch Jones actually looks like. Like, just like a no-nonsense dude, buzzed head, just always, his face is always red. He's always yelling at people. I'm like, oh, that's definitely looks like a Butch Jones. Anyways, lastly, shout out to Shamari Lawrence, who went over 1,000 yards rushing on the season in this one, and Corey Rucker, who broke the Arkansas State school record for career receiving touchdowns. The record was previously held by Omar Bayless with 26, and in this game, Rucker was 6 for 166 and 1 touchdowns, and those 166 yards increased his Arkansas State school record for receiving yards to end his career with 4,111 yards receiving.
What a cool like bowl game, like with the halo and what was they call him, the captain or chief out there. I don't know, just kind of like another fun bowl game. Can never have too many fun bowl games.
All right, and then the Myrtle Beach Bowl on Friday, December 19th. This one was an early one, and somebody should have told Kennesaw State to show up to it. That would have been great. I think the highlight of this game for Kennesaw State was they were invited to it. That was probably the best part that they got. Kennesaw State 10-3, Western Michigan 9-4. No Nadine Tucker for Western Michigan. No problem. Hot start for the Broncos. One offensive play, and they're up 14-0. You heard that right. One offensive play. They're up 14-0 thanks to a 65-yard Jalen Buckley touchdown run and a sack fumble, which was returned by Kershawn Fisher for a touchdown. First half, it was 34-0 Western Michigan. They had 5 touchdowns to Kennesaw State, 7 first downs, 6 punts, 1 missed field goal. Second half starts, and Amari Odom throws a pick 6, so it's 41-0 early on. No Jalen Buckley in the second half, but that didn't stop him from being offensive player of the game and my G5 offensive player of the week, as he rushed for 174 yards on 8 attempts and a touchdown. Very, very, just an amazing. Like he was so good he didn't even have to play the second half, and they crush him. So, anyways, we'll get on to the Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl. That was on Friday the 19th. Memphis versus NC State. Had Memphis played the first half like they did the third quarter, this would have been a much closer game. In the third, the Tigers' defense held NC State to 70 yards and did not allow any points. The offense struggled. Only 10 plays for 2 yards, and they fumbled the ball. Now we have to talk about the reality of the first half. It was ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. NC State dominated the first half. NC State had 6 plays of 20-plus yards, and we're up 31-7 at the half. As I mentioned earlier, a solid third quarter, but the Tigers would seem to surrender in the fourth as Arrington Maiden played half the fourth while A.J. Hill took reps in the second half of the fourth quarter. NC State cruises to a victory over the Tigers, 31-7. Now, let's take a look at our college football playoffs first-round games. Let's look at number 11, Tulane, 11-2. Number 6, Ole Miss, 11-1. Tulane was down 14-0 early, and Tulane played better in the second quarter and even a little bit in the third, but their corners just did not tackle well. The hitch routes on the outside really seemed to kill them, and I think it was honestly everything that was on the left side of the offense, right side of the defense was really killing them. Ole Miss steamrolls Tulane 41-10. Tulane, obviously the corners didn't tackle well, but Ole Miss is just faster.
Missed opportunities. Like if you look at like yardage and stuff, like it wasn't that bad. I think a problem we saw from Tulane all year, they'd get in, get down on the other, near the red zone, and they couldn't score, man. Couldn't score touchdowns or get on the other side of the 50. They just couldn't get anything done. Just kind of, I think it was a struggle for them all year, and it just reared its head once again in this playoff game, unfortunately.
And then moving on to the other playoff game, number 12 JMU 12-1 against number 5 Oregon 11-1. Oregon was just faster than JMU in this one. I was impressed with the JMU offense, honestly, but they couldn't end drives with 7 points in the first half, so they had to settle for 2 field goals. The line play. Defensive line could not create enough pressure, which I didn't really expect that a whole bunch. But the offensive line, it just seemed like, I mean, they played okay. Okay might have been a strong word, but it seemed like there'd be like one guy who'd get beat. And it wasn't the same guy every time. It's, from the edge, it's up the middle. And it would just create Alonzo Burnett to like move somewhere, but he had to get the ball away pretty quick. Oregon, and it seemed like Oregon just had a free runner at Barnett at all times. Like, okay, we've got you with our defensive line. Here comes a linebacker. It just always seemed like they had one more person than JMU could block. But Oregon had 5 plays of 40-plus yards, and 11 of their 13 drives were 5 plays or less. They scored 51 points, and they win 51-34. Like, had JMU's defense been able to generate a couple stops early on, this could have been a different game. But Oregon was playing on a different level.
Yeah, I mean, the speed Oregon had, just like crushed JMU. The one thing that I guess like surprised me slightly was that the JMU defense played as bad as they did. But the other, maybe even more surprising was, the way JMU offense was able to move the ball even in the first half against Oregon. And to their credit, JMU never quit, man. Like they kept, they kept playing, kept coming and coming the entire game. So kudos to the Dukes. I thought they represented themselves well, right?
Nope.
I've seen other people say this, and I think I agree with them. If the roles were switched, if JMU played Ole Miss and Tulane played Oregon, I think JMU Ole Miss would have been a good game. Oregon was a bit too much for JMU, but I think the JMU Ole Miss game would have been pretty interesting. Had the roles been reversed, but nonetheless, kudos to JMU and Tulane, both on great seasons and representing the G5 and the college football playoffs.
Yeah, and just very quickly, I don't want to dwell on it. Yes, great season, but that's part of this reindeer soup, because all I'm hearing right now is how no one wants the G5 to play in their reindeer games anymore. They're saying, you guys are funny with your red noses. You don't belong here.
Purple streamers.
Yeah. Which is fine. People can say what they say. The rules are what the rules are. Play within the rules. You get, they're going to change the rules. It's going to be whatever. I don't want to get too caught up in the whole, like, what is the future? I'm not going to waste my time. They're not going to listen to me from this microphone and change a playoff from here. But I think it'd be pretty interesting if they just did this one change. And we'll talk about this later some other day. This isn't the time for it. But like I said, I'm dressed up as a reindeer because no one wants us to play in the reindeer games anymore. And it would be that you play like those first like 3 games and then your 4th game, because you're kind of getting into the swing of things, and then have the like 4th game of the season be a bowl game. That's where you travel somewhere. I don't know really how the academic schedule lines up, but it'd be kind of nice to have it in some sort of break. There's usually a fall break that schools have or whatnot, and that way you can have these like different divisions play each other, different like conferences playing each other, and the bowl game still means something, and you don't lose any of that, because I feel like the most important thing for a G5 is to bring a conference championship back to their school and then put all of the focus on that conference championship week. Because I'm like, if you bring the Bulls any sooner, then you're probably not playing very crisp. Everybody gets a good game there, maybe week 4 or something, and then everything is going towards that conference championship, and then you go back to whatever type of conference or playoff system that you want. But I think that would be kind of fun. Anyways, off my soapbox. Let's get to the famous Idaho Potato Bowl that played today. If you're listening to this on Monday, well, I guess you're listening to it tomorrow, so it's going to be Tuesday. So this happened yesterday. Washington State 6-6 versus Utah State 6-6. I was pretty disappointed in Utah State in this one. Washington State's defensive line was the difference, in my opinion. They made Bryson Barnes uncomfortable like all day, except for like one snap. He had a long pass to Boyd on the left side. He had time to throw. He was able to connect on that. Washington State's offense converted their third downs. They were 9 of 18 versus Utah State, who was 3 of 13. And Washington State passed the ball well. They threw it 47 times. They were 28 of 47 for 373 yards. Then when it got to the second half, they got the run game going. They had 238 of their 255 yards rushing in the second half. Washington State had 628 yards of total offense and had their first 100-yard rusher of the season in Maxwell Woods. 9 attempts for 117 yards. And Washington State wins this one 34-21. Bryson Barnes got knocked out of this probably with what's suspected to be a concussion. He got knocked out, I think, towards the end of the third quarter in this. But it was that Washington State defense able to just create pressure with just 4 people.
Yeah. Utah State really didn't they didn't really do much until late. The game was already well in hand at that point. Yeah, they did. Utah State did not look good today, unfortunately.
I thought that defensive line would create pressure and Bryson would be able to roll out, make stuff happen, but like wide receivers weren't catching it. Passes weren't on the mark. When he did take off and run, he wasn't getting big chunk plays. It just did not look very good for Utah State. All right. Just as a reminder, we have the Bush's Boca Raton Bowl today. If you're listening to us on Tuesday, we have the New Orleans Bowl and we have the Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. So you have Toledo versus Louisville. You have Western Kentucky versus Southern Miss, UNLV versus Ohio. All of those previews were covered in last week's episode. So if you want to take a listen to those are there. When we do our show next week, we will recap these 3 games. But let's get into our bowl game previews. We've got the Hawaii Bowl on Wednesday, the 24th at 8 p.m. Eastern. 7-5 Cal, 8-4 Hawaii. Justice, what do we need to know?
So, looking at what the stats tell us, Cal, a good passing team, not so good on the run. The Hawaii defense better against the run. So Cal ranks 136th in rushing, only 76.5 yards per game. That's dead last in college football. It's pretty much the Kendrick Raphael show, and that's pretty much it. Passing, they're 23rd, 270.8 yards per game. Hawaii defensively, 43rd against the rush, 62nd against the pass. The other thing I think that's critical is sacks. So that Cal offensive line, one of the worst in college football, ranked 112th, giving up 2.58 sacks per game. Hawaii defensive line, pretty good, ranked 38th, getting 2.42 sacks per game. You got quarterback. So when get to the offensive side of things here, Cal, some players to know. We already talked about running back Kendrick Raphael. he is the running game for the Golden Bears. But they got one of Hawaii's sons coming back, Jaron Gala-Sagapulutele, freshman sensation at quarterback for Cal, coming back to Hawaii. You got wide receiver Jacob DeJesus. The guy is just, I mean, that's the favorite target for JKS. I want to say, feel like the last 3 games of the year, he had something like 17 targets, 18 targets, 21 targets. So he's the guy that JKS is looking to in the passing game. They also have Tron Grizel at wide receiver, kind of the guy making plays deep and on the outside, as well as tight end Mason Minnie, who had a pretty good year there for Cal. On defense for Hawaii, you got safety Peter Manuma, linebacker Jemiah Otis, linebacker Jalen Smith, defensive tackle Dejon Benton, and edge Jackie Johnson III. Those are kind of the guys to know. You want to tell us about injuries or anything in the transfer portal that we need to know, Luke?
So, obviously, it seems like JKS will be coming back because he's going to stay at Cal. You always wonder about the transfer portal. So I expect him to play. And then you've got some injuries looking – Mason Minnie was banged up, had a hot start to the season, kind of cooled down as the season went on. And then some of the guys that will rotate in there, wide receiver Jordan King and Mark Camper, as guys that will see some reps. They've been injured. On the defensive side for Hawaii, you talked about Otis there of the linebacker. He's been banged up, and I think that's really does it for Hawaii's injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I think the key to the game is probably is can that pass rush get after JKS and kind of help slow down that Cal passing attack. Cal's been very inconsistent, right? I mean, JKS has been a sensational quarterback at freshman, but as you might imagine, a freshman quarterback, true freshman quarterback at that, kind of has some ups and downs. It'll be interesting to kind of see, coming back to Hawaii, what kind of reception he gets going against the hometown team. But nonetheless, I personally expect this to be a really fun and exciting game. Moving over to the Hawaii offense and the Cal defense. So Hawaii on offense, we know what they want to do. They want to pass the ball, right? They're ranked 10th in the country in passing, averaging 289.7 yards per game, 127th in the run, only averaging 104 yards per game. California defense, not good against the run, better against the pass. They're ranked 37th against the pass, 87th against the run. Looking at sacks, the Hawaii offensive line is tied with the Cal offensive line at 112th, giving up 2.58 yards per game. However, the Cal defense doesn't get a lot of sacks. They're ranked 96th, only getting 1.75 sacks per game. Players to know.
You talked about this offense for Hawaii wanting to throw the ball. 2 guys they won't be throwing the ball to. Well, at least one for sure. Jackson Harris, who had 49 catches, 963 yards, and 12 touchdowns on the season. He's in the transfer portal. And then Nick Senecal, who's been injured most of the year. We'll see if he's able to make his return in this one. Otherwise, it's going to have to be the Ashlock show or Alahado just making everything happen. Something I didn't mention in the opening was Hawaii favored by 1.5 points with an over-under of 52.5 on the game.
So, as you mentioned, we got the battle of freshman quarterbacks. Micah's a redshirt, JKS a true freshman. But Mike Alahado at quarterback for Hawaii, definitely, if you haven't had a chance to see him, this should be a great game to watch him. The running back to know for the Rainbow Warriors is Landon Sims. And then the wide receiver, like you said, their top wide receiver, Jackson Harris, will not be there, which is a big loss. But they do get Pefele Ashlock. And Pefele Ashlock actually announced today He will be back in Hawaii next year. He plans on coming back. In the absence of Jackson Harris, look to wide receiver Brandon White to maybe pick up some of that slack. He was their third leading receiver. He is a Kentucky transfer. He's on the outside, so he's someone that might get a bump with Jackson Harris being out. And like you said, it'll be interesting to see if Nick Senecal's able to play. He's been injured much of the year. Cal defense led by the two linebackers, Cade Dulave and Luke Farrelly. If you're looking for I talked about that defensive line and the pass rush being pretty non-existent for Cal, but there is one guy, former Liberty Flame defensive end TJ Bush Jr. I believe he leads them with sacks with like 5.5. And then look at cornerback Hezekiah Massis in that defensive backfield. He leads Cal in interceptions. Any coaching news or injuries on the Cal defense that we need to know about?
The main thing is this Cal coaching change. You have head coach Justin Wilcox was fired at the end of the season. So OC Nick Rolovich is going to take over and will continue to serve as the interim for the bowl. And then Oregon DC Tosh Lupai will take over as head coach next season. So look for that. And then looking at the defensive injuries, because there's not a lot, like I just mentioned, Jackson Harris for the transfer portal. You had Nick Senecal for Hawaii. We'll see if he's able to go. Cal, they just have had a couple guys, safety Isaiah Crosby and Ryan McCullough, who's been out since week 4. So a lot, I mean, they're pretty much as healthy as they can be at this point. So I look for kind of what you saw there at the second half of the season for Cal is what you're going to get.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like if I'm gonna make a bet on this game, I'm probably gonna take the over. I think it could be a fun, high-scoring affair. Both of these offenses slinging it around. Alejado to Ashlock and JKS to Jacob DeJesus. Should make for a fun bowl game to cap Christmas Eve as you wait for Santa to bring you presents, or maybe he's going to bring you coal. I don't know. He's definitely going to bring ESPN and all those guys, all those talking heads coal for them dumping on the G5 for the last 2 weeks. But yeah, a fun way to cap off Christmas Eve as you're making cookies and getting the milk ready for Santa, bringing you all the awesome presents on Christmas Day. But yeah, give me the over in the game, 52.5.
All right, let's move on over to the GameAbove Sports Bowl the day after, 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff, day after Christmas, Friday, December 26th. We've got 7-5 Central Michigan and 6-6 Northwestern. Northwestern favored in this one, 10.5 points. Over under set at 43.5. What do we need to know? Key players, stats coming into this one, Justice.
So we'll start off with Central Michigan offense, Northwestern defense. Stats wise, you know what Central Michigan wants to do. They want to run the ball. They're not really a passing team. They're ranked 57th in rushing, averaging 169.5 yards per game, 119th passing, 166.2 yards per game. You look at that Northwestern defense, 52nd against the run, 31st against the pass. This is going to be like an old school football game. I feel like, right? Both teams, good running games, want to play defense. Who's going to win out? Unfortunately, I think I have to give the nod to Northwestern just because the line play. But I think it's going to be a good game. It's not going to be a high scoring affair like we just talked about with Hawaii and Cal. Players to know, key players for Central Michigan. You got quarterback Joe Labus. You got running backs Nairi Biggins, Trey Cornish, and then wide receiver Langston Lewis. The thing to know about the Central Michigan offense is like there is no quote superstar, man. Like they just get it done with a bunch of guys. You're going to see them rotate a bunch of guys back there, running back, hand the ball off. On defense for Northwestern, they're really led by their two linebackers, Robert Fitzgerald and Mac Ulalin. On the defensive line, they got Aiden Hubbard and Anto Saka. Hubbard may not play. He didn't play in week 12. But yeah, I mean, this is just going to be, a good old school football game. And so what do we got? Any other injuries we need to know about, Luke, for either of these teams, Central Michigan offense, Northwestern defense?
Not really in this one. But you talked about how it's going to be an old school game. And you know how there's like the saying of like, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight or whatnot. Well, this is going to be a knife fight. They're both bringing rocks to it. It's going to be a rock fight. And they're going to use those rocks to hurt each other. It's going to be a physical. I anticipate this to be a really physical game. Like you said, under probably the way to go here. It's going to be running the ball, and it's just going to be blow after blow. And it's going to be a really unsexy game. And I wouldn't be surprised if you start the second half and Central Michigan's got a lead or they're not far behind, because they just seem to control the ball, and they're always in games. And even if they you get the feeling like they're losing, they're always getting a fighter's chance. But like I said, I do like Northwestern in this one. It's going to be under, but like I said, I was trying to make an analogy there. It's like, you don't bring a knife to a gunfight. Well, to a knife fight, they're both bringing rocks, and they're just going to throw rocks at each other, and they're going to hurt each other any way they can. It's going to be a physical game. Only fitting that this is in Detroit, Michigan. I just feel like the MAC, kind of home of the MAC area. Like it's going to be hard-nosed physical. You got a Big Ten team. You got this team that likes to run the ball. I think it's going to be a fun game in the sense of like, I don't know why I want to say it's going to be a fun game, because it's not going to be very exciting. Your grandma isn't going to want to watch this game. Your parents aren't going to watch this game. Girlfriends aren't going to watch this game. But I think it's going to be a good game.
Well, moving over to the Northwestern offense, Central Michigan defense, just like I said earlier, Northwestern, what they want to do is run the ball. Ranked 59th in the nation against running the ball. They have the 111th passing offense. That Central Michigan defense, 73rd against the run, 50th against the pass. Again, both of these teams, like I said, physical running game. Looking for the key players on offense for Northwestern. At quarterback, you got Preston Stone, the former SMU quarterback. He kind of had a rough start to the year, but he really kind of came on. I don't know. About the time conference play started, I feel like he really kind of came on. And then running back Caleb Kamalafe. He wasn't the starter to begin the year, but again, he came on super strong in conference play.
I mean, he had great games against that South SoCal defense. Like even I think against Ohio State, he produced pretty well. Or Michigan, maybe it was. There's games where it's like you didn't expect him to do well, and he did pretty well. So I anticipate him to have a great game in this one.
And when like we said, Northwestern wants to run the ball, but when they do throw it, Preston Stone has a clear favorite target. That's wide receiver Griffin Wild, an FCS transfer. I want to say he came from one of the Dakotas. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but I feel
South Dakota.
Okay.
South Dakota State, the Jackrabbits, the blue and yellow one.
He is definitely Preston Stone's favorite target. So look for when they do throw, look for Stone to be looking to Griffin Wild's way. Central Michigan on defense, they got their linebackers Jordan Kwiatkowski and Dakota Cochran, and then an outstanding edge, Michael Heldman. I believe he had 10.5 sacks this year. One of the top edge rushers in all of college football, much less just the G5. So it'd be interesting. I'm interested to see what Heldman does against this Northwestern O-line. Just kind of see, like, I'm assuming he's going to be preparing for the NFL draft here soon, and so I think this will be a good test good opportunity to show what he's got against a quality offensive line there at Northwestern.
And the Central Michigan defense is pretty healthy. In this transfer portal, they have defensive lineman Cade Custis out, but he only played like 103 snaps, so that's not going to be a huge loss for the team. But for Northwestern, they had some injuries of Caleb Kamalafe, who missed the last game, and then Joseph Hyman, running back, also missed the finale with an injury. Those both seem to be back, as Coach David Braun feels pretty confident that they'll both be back after losing Cam Porter early in the season, but unsure of the status of Hubbard, like you mentioned, on the defensive side of the ball. And then wide receiver Drew Wagner, he last played in week 12, but he was banged up. So for the most part, it's going to be a pretty healthy game on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and like you said earlier, I think the play of this game, unlike the Hawaii Cal game, is the under. So that would be my play in Northwestern versus Central Michigan in the GameAbove sports book.
All right. The Rate Bowl on Friday, December 26th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We've got 9-3 New Mexico against 7-5 Minnesota. Minnesota favored by 2.5 points, over under set at 43.5. What do we need to know?
It's almost like we could just repeat what we just said, right? In terms of, I think, what the expected game script is for both teams. Run the ball, play good defense, right? It's kind of the same thing we're going to get here. We'll start off with New Mexico on offense, Minnesota on defense. New Mexico, a little more balanced than you might think off the top of your head. They're 73rd rushing offense, 85th passing offense, but make no mistake, they want to have an effective running game and play great defense. The Minnesota defense, 31st against the run, only giving up 121.5 yards per game, 67th in passing defense. I think a key thing in this game is how that New Mexico offensive line does against this Minnesota defensive line. So the New Mexico offensive line is ranked 106th, giving up 2.5 sacks per game. Not too good. But that Minnesota defense is ranked 17th in getting sacks. So one of the best teams in terms of getting sacks, averaging 2.92 sacks per game. So that's going to be a big key for New Mexico in this game, is being able to block those pass rushers, block the pass rush from Minnesota, to kind of give their quarterback Jack Lane plenty of time when he does pass the ball. Key players, like I mentioned, New Mexico quarterback is Jack Lane. He's going to be looking to wide receiver Keegan Johnson and one of the top tight ends in all of the G5, Dorian Thomas. The dude just gets it done each and every week. He started off hot, I believe, in week 1 against Michigan, and he just continued that throughout the year. When they're handing the ball off, look to Damon Bankston and DJ McKinney. Both of those guys can take it to the house. They're both speedy backs. They're electric. They can take it to the house 70 yards if they need to. But I think the key will be that New Mexico offensive line. Looking at the Minnesota defense, you got linebackers Maverick Baranowski and Devin Williams, and then safety Coy Parrish. If you haven't had a chance to watch Minnesota play, Coy Parrish he's dynamite. He is a true sophomore. There was some talk in the preseason about him being like a Travis Hunter type in terms of playing both ways. He certainly would, and I don't know how that played out. I didn't watch a lot of Minnesota, but he was never going to get like as many snaps on both sides of the ball as like Travis Hunter did. But there was talk of giving him, 5 to 8 snaps on offense a game. But Coy Parrish, file that name away. That guy's going to be playing in the NFL here, and he's not eligible this year. He's got one more year. because he is a true sophomore.
I don't know if you knew this, but about Coy, it'd be his senior year of high school. He was invited to the Army-Navy game, but he was only invited because people had rejected and they were looking for another person. And somebody within the 24/7 network, it's like, hey, we got to try to get this guy. And they brought him in. He ended up being the MVP of that Army-Navy game as a high school senior. And then, obviously, I think he was first team all-conference for the Big Ten his freshman year, or at least freshman all-conference. Like, he's been crushing it.
Yeah, he is a phenomenal player. I talked about that Minnesota pass rush. The guy you want to look to there is Anthony Smith. I assume he's playing. I haven't heard he's opted out. He's someone that's probably going to get drafted here come April.
Yeah, no word on Anthony Smith there. Minnesota has a couple of injuries, but they're like rotational guys, a cornerback and a linebacker. The big injury to watch is left guard Richard Pierce for New Mexico. He missed week 12, or he missed week 13, but he sounds like he has a good shot to play. So offensively, defensive wise for Minnesota and New Mexico looks to be pretty healthy on this side. Let's take a look when Minnesota is on offense.
Yeah, so going over to Minnesota offense, like they haven't done much this year. Darius Taylor's been hurt a lot of the year. But we know that's what that's their MO. They want to get Darius Taylor the ball as much as possible. But on the season, they're 129th ranked rushing offense, 104th ranked passing offense. Nothing too good there. But the New Mexico defense, the strength of their defense is the rushing defense. They're ranked 25th, only giving up 113.4 yards per game. Against the pass, they are ranked 98th. So be interested. It's going to be strength on strength, right? Darius Taylor and that rushing offense of the Golden Gophers going against the New Mexico defense led by Jackson Eck. So I talked about some players to know. I already mentioned running back Darius Taylor. He's the star of the show for the Golden Gophers there at running back. Quarterback, they got the first-year starter. I believe he's a redshirt freshman. I don't think he played more than 4 games a year ago. He might be a sophomore. Quarterback Drake Lindsay. When Drake does pass the ball, he looks to Lemeke Brockington and former Miami player Miami Redhawk Javon Tracy. But again, Darius Taylor is the guy to kind of know for that Minnesota offense. On defense, as I mentioned, they're led by linebacker Jackson Eck. Phenomenal linebacker. He is the son of the head coach there. Safety Tavion Combs, edge rusher Keyshawn James Newby, and edge Brat Carhu, as well as defensive tackle Kaiwan McCray. Those are really the guys to know on the defense. I'm interested in seeing Jackson Eck go against Darius Taylor, right? Both of those guys are studs, man. Interested to kind of see that matchup. It's not like a direct matchup, but still kind of interested to see how Jackson Eck does in this game. He's been phenomenal. He was FCS All-American. He was on our All Mountain West team. Phenomenal season for Jackson Eck, and he's probably gonna make some All-American teams next year as he's decided to return to New Mexico with his dad, Jason Eck.
So I kind of honestly like New Mexico in this one. And let me tell you why. You got the transfer portal for Minnesota, the running back too. Is it Femi Iboji or something like that?
Ejeboy, I think.
Ejeboy.
Yeah.
He's not going to play. And then when you look at the wide receivers, Malachi Coleman, there on the left, he's in the portal. Don't think he's going to play. And then you've got the Lemeke Brockington. He declared for the NFL draft there in the slot. they haven't said if he's going to play or not, but he's probably not playing. And then so you don't have your number 2 running back. You don't have 2 of your wide receivers. Obviously, they're going to probably lean on that running game in this one. And you got a lot of guys that are going to be there for New Mexico. And this defense is pretty good. They're pretty good at stopping the run. Because, like, you're missing all those key pieces. Like, I don't want to say a wide receiver is, going to tilt the game for Minnesota on a, win. How many points is a wide receiver worth? But losing an NFL type wide receiver, and then those 2, they're not having a running back 2, and Marshall is a right guard for Minnesota who will rotate in there. He missed the finale, so will he be able to come back? You might be down some offensive line depth. I just think New Mexico kind of riding high, and I think they'll kind of treat this game like that Mountain West Championship that they feel like they deserved, and I think that they should have got into. So I kind of like New Mexico in this one.
I like the under again, and it's ironic we talked about the GameAbove Sports Bowl and liking the under, and both of these bowls, the GameAbove Sports Bowl and the Rate Bowl, both have the same over under set at 43.5, and it's just kind of the same style of games, right? Run the ball, play good defense. So for me, give me the under.
The other one is New Mexico injury. I want to call out Drew's speech there. He missed the final 2 games, but it sounds like he's a good shot to play in this game. So let's move on over to the First Responder Bowl, Friday, December 26th at 8 p.m. Eastern. We've got 7-5 Florida International, 6-6 UTSA, and this game couldn't be any better of 2 teams that I never know who's showing up and when they're showing up. Florida Internationals looks great some games. They've looked bad, same as UTSA. UTSA's look better at home than they have on the road.
Yeah,
turns out
they're not at home this year.
They're not.
They're not at home this one.
They're in Dallas. They don't have to follow. Go too far. UTSA favored by 6 points. Over under set at 59.5. I feel like that 6 points is too much. So I think I would give me the points in FIU in this one, but let's dig into the nitty-gritty stuff, Justice.
All right, well, let's start with Florida International on offense, UTSA on defense. FIU offense, 27th ranked rushing offense, averaging 190.2 yards per game, 78th against passing offense, 218.7 yards per game. Looking at this UTSA defense, they're not very good. They're kind of like below. They're definitely below average. 78th against the run, 82nd against the pass. They have not. When they've won games this year, it's because they're outscoring their opponents. So I don't think this UTSA defense is going to have a whole lot for the Golden Panther offense. Players to know: you got quarterback Kewan Jenkins, but the star of the show really is Kajon Owens, running back. Had a phenomenal year there for the Panthers. Look for them to lean on him heavily in this game. He's had the outstanding year. They ran the ball really well, and then that also helps keep this high-powered UTSA offense off the field. So I look for Kejon Owens to have a good game. When Kewan Jenkins does throw it, look for wide receiver Alex Perry. He came on strong the last half of the year. Definitely the top target for whether it's Jenkins or Pasansky. Whoever was at quarterback, Alex Perry was the guy they were looking to in the passing game. The UTSA defense, you got linebacker Shad Banks, their top tackler. You got former five-star linebacker Kendrick Blackshire. And then you got safety Jimmy Wyrick. The guy getting the pass rush for them is Danana Awanwu. But again, this UTSA defense has not really played good all year. It's kind of what we expected going into the year. It's all about offense for UTSA.
Justice, It's going to be even worse. It's going to be even worse for this game. Why? You look at this here. You got nose tackle. Is it Shadra Otutu? Transfer portal. He's not playing. You got KK Miri, cornerback. He's not playing. He's in the transfer portal. You got Davin Martin, cornerback. They're lined up. Perry, he's in the transfer portal. He's not playing. You got defensive end there on the right side. Kenny Ozuwalu, he's not playing. He's in the portal. And then Damian Wimberly, another defensive end, he's in the portal. That he'll, this. There was something that Traylor said in one of the press conferences that pretty much like this defense is going to be a shell of themselves because they've had people get plucked with tampering and this, that, and the other thing. So they anticipate being without 10 to 20 players due to injury, transfer portal, opt-outs, things like that. And they're going to be without 6 or 7 of the starters on defense.
Yeah,
so
they weren't good. They weren't good to begin with. So,
and now they're going to be out with them. Like,
yeah,
the fact that UTSA is favored by 6 points. Give me FIU lay the points.
Yeah, look for Keyshawn Owens to have. I think he's going to have a monster game in this one. All right, let's move over. Let's flip sides here to the UTSA offense, FIU defense. On offense, UTSA was pretty balanced this year, unlike previous years where they sling it around a lot. Offensively, rushing offense, they're ranked 55th. Passing offense, ranked 54th. FIU defense has not been very good. 84th against the run, 116th against the pass. This should be a high-scoring affair, right? On offense, you got quarterback Owen McCowan. He's going to look to Devin McEwen and David Amador at the receiver spot. And then, surprisingly, UTSA's had a really strong running game this year. Whether it's been Robert Henry at the beginning of the year, lately it's kind of been Will Henderson. They may lean on that running game even more this game just to try to keep their depleted defense off the field as much as possible. So Robert Henry's been banged up. This is it for him, though. Maybe he's going to make maybe he'll make an appearance in this one. FIU on defense, the guys to know, you got their leading tackler, linebacker Johnny Chaney Jr. You got our true freshman defensive player of the year, safety Josiah McCrew, had an outstanding freshman year. Cornerback, you got Mr. Clark leading them in interceptions, and then their top pass rusher, edge Keegan Davis. For me, this game's all about the offense, though. I'm taking the over. I think 59.5. I think these two teams easily get over 60. I see both teams scoring in the 30s. So give me the over in this one.
Well, you got Blades there. He's a potential opt-out. They haven't said if he's going to play or not. Clark, there across from Amador, he's not going to play in the game. McGrew, Josiah McGrew, he's not playing in the game either.
Oh, no.
So, and then let's see here. Michael, one of their. Yeah, never mind. So that the defensive secondary for FIU is going to be shorthanded, especially if Blades doesn't play. So like you said, it could be an offensive explosion because both of these defenses are going to be short. But there's just so many more people out for UTSA. I would expect FIU to handle them in this one. But it could be an offensive explosion.
Yeah, that's what I think. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair in the 60s.
All right. Let's move on over to the Go Bowling Military Bowl on Saturday, December 27th. This one, 8-4 Pittsburgh against 8-4. East Carolina. Pittsburgh favored by 10 points. Over-under set at 56.5. We'll get into the players who might be missing later. Coaches, obviously. But what do we need to know stats-wise about these teams?
Like, I don't even know for this particular game if it's even worth talking about the stats because
let's.
I mean, East Carolina is going to be a shell of itself, especially on the offensive side. They've lost their starting quarterback. They've lost both receivers. But before we get to that, let's start with the Pittsburgh offense, ECU defense. So on Pittsburgh offense, you got freshman sensation quarterback Mason Heinschel. He's been nothing short of phenomenal since he's took over. I don't know, what was it, maybe week 6 or 7, it feels like, in the season. Outstanding year for a true freshman. They have an outstanding running game, whether it's going to be Desmond Reed, who was banged up constantly throughout the year, or running back Jakirian Turner. And he when he comes in, they don't really miss a beat. And then 2 outstanding receivers, and Kenny Johnson and Raphael Williams Jr. I mean, I just think Pittsburgh's going to be they're working for the most part with their full complement of players. It seems like, especially compared to East Carolina. On the defensive side, you're looking at safety Jamarly Riddle, linebacker DJ Johnson, edge Josiah Robinson, and defensive tackle Zion Wilson. Unfortunately, I think what's going to happen in this game is that the ECU defense is going to be on the field a lot. And they played good throughout the year, but I just think they're going to be wore down. They're going to be on the field so much that Pittsburgh is going to be able to have their way with them, particularly in the second half.
And then that ECU defense, the defensive coordinator Josh Aldridge, he's going to take the defensive coordinator position at South Florida, so he won't be at the game. Like you said, they're just going to be a shell of themselves. Desmond Reed, I believe, said that he's going to go pro. I could be wrong on that, but I think that's what they
I'm
said.
expecting him to not play. I expect it to be all Turner.
Yep. So I would give the upper hand to Pittsburgh's offense in this one.
All right. Spoiler, we already kind of talked about this. This graphic is really kind of useless for ECU because, there is going to be no Caton Hauser. There is going to be no Anthony Smith. There is going to be no Yannick Smith. Quarterback, haven't really heard who.
Even tight end Javante Connor. He won't.
Yes. Yeah. I think Desirio Riles is still going to be there. But yes, Connor is in the portal as well. Quarterback, I think it's probably between Chase and Ditta and Mike Wright Jr. Mike Wright, former, where he's been at Vanderbilt. He's been at Mississippi State. He's had a couple of different spots. Well traveled. He's a dual threat. So maybe he's the one that gets to start, right? He can kind of lead the team with his dual threat ability. They don't have to worry about passing it as much. They also got running back London Montgomery, who's had a good year, as well as Marlon Gunn Jr. Brock Spalding, the top wide receiver that I believe is playing. And as I mentioned, they had a great tight end duo in Javante Connor and Desirio Riles. Obviously, Connor is in the portal, but I do think Desirio Riles is expected to play. But just like on the defensive side, they also lost their OC, John David Baker.
Old Miss.
Yeah, so. It just I don't know. I don't want to waste any more time on this one. I just give me Pitt all day in this one, unfortunately, and it kind of sucks because East Carolina was a good team this year, but they're just not going to have. They're not going to have their team. They don't have the coaches, and I think Pitt's just going to be too much for them. Names to know on the Pitt defensive side: you got linebackers Rasheem Biles, Kyle Lewis, edge Isaiah Neal, and edge Jimmy Scott. But I think this is going to be all Pitt, unfortunately. for the Pirates of ECU.
All right. Let's move on over to the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, Saturday, December 27th at 2:15 p.m. Eastern. We've got 9-3 UConn against 6-6 Army. Let's see here. Army favored by 8.5 points, over under set at 43.5. Key players, I don't know if you want to go through the stats in this one either.
Well, I mean, for Army, it's not going to change, right? I mean, their guys are playing. UConn, I mean, they're going to be missing some guys on offense. We'll start there, but offensively, UConn, if I had told you they were the 6th-ranked passing offense, I don't think anyone would believe me, especially at the beginning of the year. But they were the 6th-ranked passing offense, 69th in the rushing. Army defense, 70th against the rush, 39th against the pass. Unfortunately for Connecticut, some key pieces of that offense are not playing. Probably the biggest one, quarterback Joe Fagnano, right? Nick Evers, they don't know if he's going to be the starter. I don't know if he's announced, but they expect him to go in the transfer portal. So they're not sure if Nick Evers is going to play. Running back Cam Edwards is in the transfer portal, but last I heard, he's planning on playing. Skylar Bell, he is off to the NFL. He also sounds like he's playing wide receiver.
I want to kind of go through this because I want to just look at this line. Right tackle Carson Cassidy, he's in the portal. He's not planning to play. You've got left tackle Ben Markowski. He's in the portal. He's not planning to play. You got right guard Brady Wayburn. He's in the portal, not anticipated to play. Cam Edwards, he is going to play. He says he's going to play. And then you've got Victor Rosa, Mel Brown, MJ Flowers, all running backs. They're in the portal. They haven't said that they're playing. But like you said, Skylar Bell being that big name who's going to the Senior Bowl. He said he wasn't going to play. Then he last week said he was going to play. He's trying to convince all these guys who are in the portal to play in the game. So right now with Army at 8.5, I think it's 8 point. I'm going to lay the points with Army. Because if you don't have your offensive line and you don't have your quarterback, go ahead.
Yeah. And Juice Farine, they're tight end, right? Enter the portal today. Don't expect him to play. And even if Edwards and Bell do play, right? You got a feeling. I just had the feeling the game's probably gonna be out of hand pretty quickly, and then they're not gonna be able to do anything. And those two guys are gonna sit out too.
And then when you look at Army, just in general, offense, defense, nobody's really that hurt.
Yeah,
everyone's gonna be there. Everyone's gonna be able to play. Give me Army.
Defensive guys to know for Army: linebacker Andon Thomas, linebacker Caleb Fortner, safety Casey Larkin, and defensive end Jack Busam, who was just our defensive player of the week a week ago, as he was very effective in that Army-Navy game in creating some havoc. All right, moving over to Army offense, UConn defense. As you might expect, Army wants to run the ball, and run the ball some more. They are the 5th-ranked rushing offense, averaging 245.5 yards per game, 136 pass. UConn, they're already not good against the run. 116th rushing defense. They haven't been a very good defensive unit all year, and they're going to be missing some guys, no doubt.
They're going to be the UConn defense is going to be missing Omar Dulamande, linebacker, and Cam Chadwick, cornerback. And then they're going to have a rotational guy, Gilbert, cornerback, who's a rotational guy. He's not going to play. Again, Skylar trying to get guys to play, but nah.
They do have Brian Parham, as far as I know. He's their leader at linebacker. Look for linebacker Taekwon King to probably step into Diamande's spot. But I just think it's going to be too much Army offensive guys to know. This offense it revolves around the quarterback, Kel Helms. Once he kind of sees control of the job, he's just been phenomenal. He's the Bryson Daly of 2025. But when Kel Helms is not carrying the ball, look for him to try to get it to Hayden Reed at fullback or their wide receiver, slot back, whatever you want to call him. Noah Short. He's their human highlight reel, I guess, if you will. Right? He's their electric, their playmaker. Whether they get in the ball in the running game or pass the ball to him, Noah Short. But yeah, too much Army in this one. Give me Army laying the points.
All right, let's move on over to the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, Saturday, December 27th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. We've got 7-6 Miami against 8-4 Fresno State. This one, let's see here. Fresno State favored by 5.5 points. Over under set at 42.5.
This is another ugly game, right? Like, I mean, unfortunately, I don't know. Like this like is the game I want to watch just because it's a fun game, with Snoop Dogg and the guys they have calling the game. But man, like from a football standpoint, we talked about rock fights earlier. I don't even know what this is going to be like. This is going to be the rock fight of all rock fights.
I think Fresno wins this one.
Yeah, I agree with you. But let's run down the personnel here.
The other thing that we did not mention, we haven't really mentioned any of those one. This one is on the CW, and weird things happen.
Yes,
on games on the CW.
There's not very many bowl games. There's not very many bowl games not on an ESPN network, but this is one of them. Miami on offense, 75th rushing offense, 101st pass offense. Fresno State defense, great against the pass, 8th ranked passing defense, 42nd rushing defense. I really don't know what to expect from Miami on the offensive standpoint, and it's because which quarterback are they going to go with? Are they going to go with Henry Hessen or Tommy Gakowski? Tommy Gakowski got to start in the MAC championship, right? And then they end up going to Hessen.
You're not going to have Cam Perry, wide receiver.
That's the big one, right? That he was their star on offense, Cam Perry. He is not going to be in this game.
You're not going to have right tackle Drew Terrell, who's one of their best tackles in our 2020 players this year. Not going to have him, so that's going to make things difficult.
Yeah, I mean, they got Jordan Brunson at running back. Cole Weaver's probably going to be their top receiver. I don't expect a whole lot from this Miami offense against this Fresno State defense. Fresno State defense has been really good this year, led by linebacker Jaden Pearson and edge Finn Claypool. Finn was on our All Mountain West first team defense for G5 Hive. He's had a phenomenal season after transferring from the FCS.
Drake Bulldogs. He has a thing for Bulldogs.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't expect a ton from this Fresno State from this Miami offense against the Fresno's defense. Again, I think this game screams under to me. It's already pretty low at 42.5, but I also agree with Luke on the taking Fresno laying the points at 5.5. Let's move over to the Fresno offense and Miami defense. Miami loses some key pieces here as well. But looking stats at the Fresno offense, 55th rushing offense, averaging 169.9 yards per game, 114th passing offense. Miami defense plays pretty well this year, pretty balanced too. 39th against the rush, 38th against the pass. However, they're missing some really, really key pieces on that defense. You want to run that down for us, Luke?
Yeah, transfer portal, their best player, one of our 2020 guys, Adam Trick, defensive end. He's in the portal, and then Michael Yarborough, cornerback, he's in the portal. So that's going to be tough losses. Some injury-wise, Corbin Hondrew, he's missed the final couple games, linebacker, but he's a stud. If they don't have him out there, that's going to be another huge loss. Yeah. Fresno State doesn't have really much missing on offense, if anything. I'm kind of going through, and I don't see anybody that's missing. So
the names that are should be out there for Miami from a defensive standpoint to know. Probably number one is safety Eli Blakey. He was an all-MAC performer for us. You talked about Hondrew if he's available to go, and then the other linebacker to know, Jackson Kuwach. Fresno State on offense, quarterback E.J. Warner, son of NFL legend Kurt Warner, and then their running backs, Rayshawn Luke, Bryson Donaldson. When E.J. does throw the ball, when they're not running it, he likes Josiah Freeman. I think it's going to be all Fresno State in this game. I like Fresno State and the points as well as the under.
All right. The New Mexico Bowl, Saturday the 27th, 5:45 p.m. Eastern. We've got North Texas, 11-2 against San Diego State, 9-3. Another team in the Mountain West looking to maybe get some revenge on the nation as they were overlooked for their Mountain West championship run. I know they kind of faltered there towards the end of the season, but they had a really good season. This one, we've got North Texas favored by 3.5 points, over under set at 53.5.
This one, I just don't know what to expect because, according to what I read today, most of these North Texas guys, even though they're in the portal, are going to be playing. I don't know how much I believe that personally, and so it's kind of hard. What's going to happen? I don't know. We'll try to talk through it as best we can. I think if North Texas play, if all those guys play, you got to roll with North Texas. But let's look at the stats first. So we're going to start off with North Texas on offense, San Diego State on defense. If you had all the players, man, it'd be phenomenal to watch. You got strength
best on best.
Yeah, best on best, strength on strength. North Texas, the second ranked passing offense. San Diego State, the fourth ranked passing defense. Unfortunately, we know, at least at the San Diego State side, they're going to be missing their best defender, right? Chris Johnson Jr. Looking at the North Texas offense, supposedly, Drew Mestamaker's going to play. If he doesn't play, I would expect to see Reese Poffenbarger. Caleb Hawkins is expected to play. Receivers, you got Wyatt Young, Miles Coleman expected to play. If those two guys don't, they still got Landon Sides and Cam Dorner. So there's still definitely weapons. Defensively for San Diego State, Trey White. There's been rumors like he might move on. Is he going to play?
There's also been rumors that they're going to go to Nebraska because their defensive coordinator became the defensive coordinator at Nebraska. So do they follow him there? There's all sorts of rumors falling around. This game might as well be called the Rumor Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it's just hard. Like, we can tell you what we know today, but I think even let's assume worst case scenario, like none of those North Texas guys play. I think you still got Reese Poffenbarger, still got Cam Dorner, still got Landon Sides. I still like North Texas at the end of the day in this game.
Denegal, when we switched to the other side, I guess Denegal had surgery. So
yeah, he's out.
Denegal, he's not going to play.
Some guys to know for San Diego State that we do think will play. Linebacker Tano Latuli, safeties Delshawn Staley and Dwayne McDougal, and then edge Niles King. But I think regardless of what ends up happening with that North Texas offense. I don't think they're going to miss a beat as much. Now, we didn't talk about this yet, but no Eric Morris, right? But I think the rest of the staff's still going to be there coaching the bowl game. Is that right, Luke?
Let's see here. They're going to have the special teams coach, Drew Savoda. He's going to be the interim coach. And then, the rest of the staff will be there minus Morris. So
I give the edge to North Texas, regardless of kind of how the opt-outs play out. Moving over to the San Diego State offense and North Texas defense. No shocker, San Diego State wants to run the ball. 29th rushing offense, 125th passing offense, and that's flipped for North Texas. They're great against the pass, ranked 9th, terrible against the run, ranked 128th. So in this case, we're going to get strength on weakness. Lucky Sutton's there. Lucky Sutton's already said he's coming back to San Diego State next year. Look for a lot of Lucky Sutton in this game.
Jordan Napier in the slot. He's done for the season. An injury.
Denegal, the quarterback, is out. I'm assuming Bert Emanuel Jr. is going to get the start.
That's what I would assume.
I haven't seen anything official that says that, but that just kind of tells me they're going to
run.
I mean, they're going to want to run the ball, right? Remember they're one of the best rushing offenses, and also keeps that high-powered North Texas offense off the field. So, assuming Bert Emanuel Jr. Gets to start, look for him and Lucky Sutton to kind of carry the load for the Aztec offense. Guys to know for this mean green defense, you got linebackers Ethan Weslowski and Trey Fields, as well as their two safeties, Patrick Smith-Young and Will Jones. At the end of the day, I just think, I just got to go with North Texas. I just think, even if they have to go to their backup guys, I think their backups, quarterback, running back, receiver, they're not going to miss as much as San Diego State. And so for that reason, I lean North Texas laying the 3.5 points.
All right. Let's move on over to the Birmingham Bowl Monday, December 29th, 2 p.m. Eastern. We've got 6-6 Georgia Southern. Who wants to play Georgia Southern? Does anybody want to play Georgia Southern? App State says we do. We want to play Georgia Southern. We want to rematch App State 5-7. This is the bowl that they could not find anybody to play Georgia Southern. App State said they would do it. This is a rematch of the regular season conference game in which Georgia Southern won 25-23. I don't anticipate this one will be nearly as close. Georgia Southern favored by 7 points. Over under set at 59.5. Ooh, I don't know about that. I don't know about any of those numbers. But I don't like what App State has going on here with how many guys that they have in the portal and aren't going to play. I think they're going to be down to their QB3 because J.J. Cole's in the portal, A.J. Swan's in the portal. So I would anticipate they're just going to run the ball a whole bunch.
Yes. All right. Well, let's get to the let's start off with the Georgia Southern offense, App State defense. Georgia Southern offense, 42nd ranked passing offense, 79th against the run. Guys to know, you got J.C. French there at quarterback. Had a bit of up and down year, but he seems to be playing much better recently. You got running back O.J. Arnold, and then I guess the big question for me is Camden Brown. Is he going to play? Is he not going to play? I haven't seen anything. Have you seen anything, Luke?
Nope, I've not.
So at this point, I assume he's going to play. You look for him to have, he is the star of this Georgia Southern offense. Assuming he plays, Camden Brown, the receiver. He's had a big year. Look for him to have a big game if he does indeed play. And they got their starting quarterback. That's going to be a big boost for the Eagles. You talked about that defense. They're kind of gonna. I think they're going to be a shell of themselves with all the guys in the transfer portal. Unfortunately, you want to run that down for us?
Yeah, they've got McConos, cornerback there, who's not going to. I would not anticipate playing because he's in the portal. Got Brayshawn, Little John, and Edge, Thomas Davis. They're all not going to play, and that's all I got for.
And defensive tackle Rondo Porter, he's also in the portal. So
That's right.
Some big losses there for App State. Thomas Davis, not really a big loss. He got, I don't know, for lack of a better word, kicked off the team in Week 8. So they've been playing without him for a while. So if you're looking for guys to know on that App State defense, you got linebacker Colton Ferris and Kyle Arnholt, and then edge Kevin Abrams or Verwain. He was our player of the week. I don't know what week it was. It was not too long ago. He had a big week on that
against Marshall.
In the Marshall game. So those are kind of the plays to know. We talked about them missing so much, and we'll get right to it. I think the problem is going to be for App State on offense, right? Like you said, is like the quarterback situation.
You got AJ Swan. He's in the portal. I mean, granted, he lost the job kind of later in the year. JJ Cole, he's in the portal. I don't anticipate either one of them to play, so I'm expecting freshman Noah Gillian. He got playing time this year. I would assume he is going to play and start. And then you've got Rashad Dominion and Jakari Lewis, running backs who kind of like you kind of saw that shift to Jakari Lewis towards the end of the season there. But then you had a wide receiver, Davian Dozier. He's in the portal. I don't anticipate him playing. I feel like Jaden Barnes may have hit the portal too. I can't remember. I know he definitely was hurt and missed the last game or two of the season.
I do know they expect Dalton Stroman to play, wide receiver Dalton Stroman to play. To your point earlier, I think App State's going to be leaning heavily on Dominion and Jakari Lewis. Try to run the ball. This Georgia Southern defense has not been good all year. Don't expect that to change. They're the 133rd ranked rushing defense. So only 3 other defenses in the country worse than Georgia Southern, which App State's all for that. Given the quarterback situation, they're going to lean heavily, I think, on Jakari Lewis and Dominion. I look for Jakari Lewis to have a big game in this one. And this is a rivalry game, right? Like, I think a lot of times in rivalry games, it doesn't really matter who's out there. You're going to see, a dogfight between the two teams. I expect this to be very similar.
Left tackle, Trent Ramsey. He hasn't played since Week 8. Not sure if he'll be back in this one. And then Lowe there in the middle of that defense. He didn't play in their finale. So we'll see if he's able to make it back. Obviously, huge lift if he is able to come back because that defense isn't particularly great. I like Georgia Southern in this one.
For me, I think I just want to. I mean, because of the rivalry nature and how bad this Georgia Southern defense is against the run, for me, I think it's just an avoid. I think if you tell me I had to pick something, I would take Georgia Southern minus the 7. But I don't know. For me, I think it's just an avoid. Rivalry games, I just think weird things happen, and given how bad the rush defense is for Georgia Southern and the fact that Jakari Lewis is playing, it could be a weird one.
All right, let's get to our final game preview of the night. Let's see here. There we go. My screen went black there for a second. Sorry, folks. We've got the Radiance Technology Independence Bowl Tuesday, December 30th at 2 p.m. We've got Coastal Carolina at 6-6, Louisiana Tech at 7-5. We've got Louisiana Tech favored by 9.5 points, over under set at 51.5.
All right. Obviously, this one, as far as the coaching staff, Coastal Carolina's gone, right? And so that's kind of a big blow. Let's start off with the Coastal offense. One thing that I heard mentioned, and I really haven't seen anything that says yay or nay, is the availability of Samari Collier. Like, I kind of like feeling he's not available, but then I thought I saw somewhere like maybe there's a chance maybe he can play. If he can play, that changes this game drastically. But my gut says he's not likely to play, so that's going to fall. It's going to fall to quarterback Tad Hudson. On offense, they got running back Javon Simpkins, freshman running back Dominic Nicely. In the passing game, you got Cam Wright and Robbie Washington. If we look on the season, Coastal Carolina's offense, it was really the Samari Collier show. When he wasn't there, they weren't very good. But on the season,
the other part too, you got Nick Del Grande, left tackle,
best offensive lineman, definitely not playing.
Not playing. And then on the other side, Joseph Hansen, he's not going to play. So you're missing your two tackles, and you're going to need that mobile quarterback. Tad Hudson,
not mobile.
Not so. Like, again, it's going to come down to that quarterback play. I do think losing Nick Del Grande is a huge loss to this team, just from a running standpoint too. So.
Yeah, Coastal Carolina, 62nd ranked rushing offense, 124th passing offense. Last year's bowl game for Coastal kind of went south, and unfortunately, I think it's going to be more of the same this year. The only hope is if Samari Collier is able to play and he's 100%. I personally don't expect that. Louisiana Tech guys to know on that Louisiana Tech defense, they are missing some key pieces. At least they're in the transfer portal. I'm assuming they're not going to play. But guys that I think will be there, Jaden Mayfield. Now, Jakari Foster declared for the NFL. I don't know if he's going to be there or not. He was our G5 defensive player of the year, and then linebacker Sifa Leota. But they got some guys missing, other guys in the transfer portal missing on defense too that could have a pretty big impact on this game. Who are those players, Luke?
Yeah, you got the other you got another safety there, Jacob Fields, and then linebacker Makai Mason, not likely to play.
All right, well, let's move over to the Louisiana Tech offense, Coastal Carolina defense. Looking at the stats, Louisiana Tech, 23rd ranked rushing offense, 117th against the pass. Coastal Carolina defense, not good, no matter which way you shake it. 132nd against the run, 115th against the pass. Plays to know. The stars of the show, in my opinion, will be the two running backs for Louisiana Tech, Clay Thevenin and O'Meary Wiggins. Those two guys have been phenomenal this year, and look for them to have a great game. Clay Thevenin been on limited touches, been a big play guy for them. Look for that to continue against this Coastal defense. I'm assuming Trey Kukic is going to get the start. Because I believe their other two quarterbacks are either in the portal or hurt.
Evan Bullock is in the portal, and Blake Baker, he's out for the year. So
when Trey does throw the ball, look for tight end Eli Finley. He's their top guy in the passing game. Coastal on defense, look for safety Ismarian Gordon, linebackers Dante Lunan and Trey Brown, and their best pass rusher is edge Zeke Campbell. But yeah, I think this is going to be, unfortunately for fans of the Chanticleers, it's going to be a repeat performance from last year's bowl game. I think it's going to be all Louisiana Tech. Like I said, I think the stars of the show will be those, the running back, particularly Clay Thevenin, and give me Louisiana Tech laying the 9.5 points.
All right. That does it for us tonight. If you're watching us on YouTube, please hit that like and subscribe button. On X, give us a follow. And if you're listening to us on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, or Spotify, please subscribe. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. Again, if you're not watching us, tune in. I'm in a reindeer outfit. Who else is in a reindeer outfit? So we be sure to join us next week as we discuss what happened in the 9 bowl games that we just kind of ran down here. Plus, we've got the 3 bowl games that are happening tonight or today, for listening to us on Tuesday, that we covered. So that's going to be Toledo, Louisville, Western Kentucky, Southern Miss, UNLV, Ohio, for a total of 9, 10, 11, 12 games that we will recap. And then we will tackle the last 2 bowl game previews to get us through the bowl season for the G5. And of course, we'll bring you up to date on the latest news and happenings in the world of G5 college football. Now, we only have a few more episodes left before 2025 season is over, and we start looking ahead to 2026. Justice talked about all the coaching changes. We're going to dive into the transfer portal stuff. I don't know how many people are going to tune in here, but I wanted to make sure, to just let you guys know it's been a pleasure to do this all season long. We want to thank each and every one of you for allowing us to be a part of your daily routine, whether you're watching us, listening to us. You're making time for Justice and I, and for you to consume G5 football. And again, making time out of your day to make us part of your life. Heck, that practically makes us family. I mean, it's the, festive time of the year. Everyone's getting together with family. So we appreciate you allowing us to come into your homes, your earbuds, your work, wherever you're listening to us. We really appreciate it. We want to say thank you and happy holidays from the G5 Hive, and to you and your family. Until the next time, we are the G5 Hive.